Cool, everybody. Coach Rap here, and jumping on to give you the big level up. There we are, the big level up. So, as you may be aware, I teach online classes, amongst other things. I do online coaching, personal training, all this jazz, right? And the online classes have been really popular, and I now teach 4 classes a week. And what the message is about today, whether you do my classes or any other classes you do, I'm going to embark on this coming week on leveling up my workouts. Now, I don't mean making it dramatically harder for everybody else. I mean, even for myself. Now, in one of the classes, we make use of a kettlebell. Now, we use that kettlebell. We typically do high rep stuff and get a whole body workout, and I call it my kettle blast. It's like a 30-minute blast session. And there's a particular weight that I've got there that I always use. And I quite like using that weight because it's moderate, and over the high reps it burns, but allows me to still quite freely chat and talk while I'm doing it. However, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I think I should level that up, okay? And I think I'm going to go a little bit heavier and still maintain the high reps and product that I deliver as part of that class. So what I'm challenging you, whether you're part of my classes or following your own routine, is to level up your workouts in some shape or form. Now, I'm choosing the very basic and straightforward. I'm going to pick a heavier weight, and my goal is to do the entire class with it. And the way I'm going to achieve that is by not even having my lighter weight available for me. Now, that's different for other people doing levels up because they might decide to have 2 weights with them, and they might do half the class with one, half the class with other, or certain exercises with one, certain exercise with other. That's completely up to you. So if you are one of my CTS members and you're looking at ways to level up, and we'll discuss other ways, but we'll get to that, and you're thinking the easiest one would be to get a heavier weight for the kettle blast. Other ways that you can level up is looking for harder options or progressions in the exercises that you do. Now, in the classes I teach, we do things like we do Pilates in there as well. We've got a core stability class using the exercise ball. And within those classes, there's always different modifications and variations of difficulty. I typically demonstrate usually mid-range, and I sometimes demonstrate the harder versions, and obviously I give the lower versions. Now, there are people in my classes that are broad range of fitness and abilities that I'm just going to take, for example, push-ups, right? Some people do them from the knees, some can do them from toes, some people do them elevated against the windowsill. So what I would say if that was you and you were looking for a quote-unquote easy, and I mean easy by straightforward, method of progressing your workouts is to say, you know what, if I'm doing my push-ups against a window, which is maybe you're elevated to 45, quite high up, I'm going to progress them, and I'm going to lower them, because with a push-up, the lower down you come, the harder it is. You put more weight and load through your upper frame. You might say, right, I'll progress them to doing them against a sofa. You know, windows way up here, sofa's a lot lower down, it's going to be more challenging. That would be a progression. That would be your level up. That could be one of the options for you. Alternatively, you're making use of the exercise ball, you might decide to do one of the harder options that are available. If you were doing, say, a movement-based class or cardio, you might do the harder options, the more higher impact. So sometimes you can pick one exercise to level up. Sometimes you would choose to do the harder options on everything. Other times you would choose just to do a heavier weight. But regardless, have a think about the routines that you're doing and say to yourself, how could I level this up? How could I make them just a little bit harder and commit to it for the rest of the month? Just say, right, I'm going to go for it and see how we go on. It's those little subtle things that push us. Someone asked me the other day, you know, should we always be trying to progress in every exercise? And my answer to that was, well, actually, honest answer was, progress on the exercises that matter the most to you, because it's important in life to be fit for life now, or fit for the life that you lead. So, you know, for me personally, I keep a certain level of cardio fitness. I've always had in my head, as long as I can run 10K, if my car ever broke down, you're not normally longer than 10K from the local gas station if you run out of fuel or anything like that, right? So in my head, as long as I can always run a 10K, that's fine for me. For me to always be pushing my running fitness, just as one example, you know, try and run a 15K or run it fast and all this kind of stuff all the time, I don't do running all that often, so it's not really a goal that I'm that fussed about. However, if I started training for a half marathon or something, that would be different. With that being said, I'm not always looking to progress my running. I'm quite happy that I've got a base standard there. When I was playing more sport, I would always be trying, I'm pointing over to my weights over here, I was always trying to get stronger. That made sense because it mattered to me, and it was being fitter for the life that I led. I was playing sport, wanted to be stronger for the sport I play. So you don't always have to be progressing everything, but you want to progress the ones that matter. And what I mean by that is that if you are concerned about back issues, you want to progress your core strength, right? Protect the back. If you're ever worried about your leg strength as we age and losing balance, you want to be thinking, right, progress on the legs, all these stuff. So that's a long waffly way of saying you don't have to always be progressing everything, but that very one question I was asked is like, well, should we be trying to progress everything? Got me thinking, let's all progress at least something. So I'm going to put it out there that for my kettle blast, I will be using a heavier weight throughout. And the goal is to still be able to verbally teach the class without having an asthma attack. I am asthmatic, so that is a very possibility, but let's pray, touch wood, that never happens. And for anybody else, I would say that's a straightforward method, get a heavier weight. But if it's maybe beyond you just yet, start looking at the exercises that you maybe take a slightly easier modification and just take the next step up from that. So as I said, if you're doing push-ups against a windowsill, bring them down a little bit lower and do them against a chair or a sofa. Or if you're doing them against chair or sofa, bring them down onto the floor from the knees. So again, you're more horizontal when it's harder. If you're from the knees, you might want to try some of them from the toes and then drop the knees after. So long as you level up and make a progression in at least one exercise, you will have ticked this box. So give it a go. Whether you're part of my classes or within your own stuff you're following, give it a go. Level up. Progress on something. Either take a heavier weight or do something, the harder option. Try and build up somehow. Hope it helps.